Yo guys, today's topic, narcissism and how it can be a good thing. Hear me out. Not narcissism, NPD, full blown, but narcissism traits. So, I mean, obviously, you probably know where I'm going with this, but to have a certain amount of narcissism is, the way I see it is, I'll start with this. To have no narcissism, to me, is, I think, ultimately and this is just my perspective, I'm totally spitballing about this, but like, to have no narcissist is essentially saying you have no confidence, you have no, there's going to be an overthinking, because to be zero narcissism all the time, you're almost monk mode, like absolutely, like, it's very easy to overthink. Like, for example, I was very worried about being a narcissist, and I feel like I had like an awakening, because living a lifestyle that I was not proud of, and kind of like had like a collapse. I keep thinking it was a narcissistic collapse, but I think it was just I was humbled. I mean, that's essentially what happened. And since then, I feel like I'm a good person, but I'm not achieving what I used to be achieving. Like, I don't have, I think, at least for me, like a certain amount of narcissism, like, get shit done. Like, I don't know. You want to be a good person, but at the end of the day, it's really easy to conflate and make excuses for not getting to where you want to be. It's like very similar to like the money and power of people with a lot of money are bad. It's like, it's a way to cope. And I think that's similar with people that, call people narcissists all the time. Like, and it's very easy to conflate like our new culture, which is like, I would argue is more narcissistic than any time in human history, with the way we, like what I'm doing. I'm filming, pointing the camera towards myself. And so that's like, to me, that's like innately narcissistic. And like, even right now I'm like filming, now I'm parked at a stop sign. There's a little bit of like natural shame right now, because I'm talking to myself through a camera. And I'm just gonna accept that I'm a tangential fella, because I go all over the place. It's just how my brain works. But so again, I think it's easy to conflate, now that we are all kind of narcissists, with that being a bad person. Like, that's the way I look at it, is like, it's a new normal with the phones. Like, if you want to you have something to say, you want to get your message out, god damn, it's like I want to get that message out. It's like, you gotta be online, and to be online, you gotta film yourself. And well, you don't have to film yourself, you have to create. Content is the minimum. There has to be something of substance. So like, we have this culture now of content creation, of like that kind of narcissism, and like, that's not like innately bad. I guess it remains to be seen, but my point is like, you gotta, like, there's a fine line between being a content creator, getting shit done, and kind of being confident, and being like, and I guess it comes down to the content you're creating. Like, I don't know, like, is all narcissism is, because it's a pejorative term, it's a bad term, is all it is at the end of the day, the difference between super confident and cocky and narcissistic is the only difference really, like a delusion, like a level of delusion. Like, narcissists are more delusional, but delusion is it's like, you can't, like, Steve Jobs was delusional about the iPhone until it happened. That was delusion, technically. Like, people well, not technically. It's close, right? So it's like, is the only difference between extreme confidence and narcissism, just like framing, you know, like, and that's what's tricky about it, and that's kind of the point of this video, and that's what I've been struggling with, because at my best point in life, where I think everything was going the best before everything got too crazy, you know, got too tempted, I would argue it was a net positive. It was everything I wanted. I was focused, but I was also, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too hard. My point is I struggle with that, like, worrying about if I, you know, was a bad person, was a narcissist, I was delusional, like being a child. That's essentially what narcissism is. Like, all narcissists are essentially stuck in childhood, and it's a way to cope, and that's unhealthy, I'd say, by and large, for society. But also, you got to get the fuck up in the morning, and if it takes a little bit of, like, delusion, I mean, I think everyone right now in society is doing it, like, between the medication, between the distractions, with everything, and like we are all coping with this new world. And so, like, I don't know, man, it's a really hard time to be alive. It's what a crazy time to be alive, you know. I feel like we are simultaneously more narcissistic than ever, and what's worse than narcissism is, like, essentially, which I guess is a symptom of it, is like the lack of vulnerability, because, like, and that's a whole different thing. I think that's like a social norm that is now like going on in our society. Like, I don't know, do you guys comment below if you agree, but I've never felt less comfortable with being vulnerable. It's like everyone has a mask on, and that's, like, to a degree, that's always been healthy. Like, there's a societal mask you need to wear. Like, for example, someone says, "How are you?" You don't just go, "I'm bad," and just tell them all your shit, because that's like, you know, not helpful. And it's like creates a net negative for, you know, assuming it's a new person. It's like, so a certain amount of mask is necessary in a society, but, like, now I argue the mask is like a pretending that things are like that. I'm okay. We're all okay. Like, everyone's kind of like white knuckling it. I don't know if that's, comment below if you feel that way about, you know, that like by and large, we are like, it's kind of like, it reminds me of like the boomers, like, the just keep things on an even keel was like the whole thing, and like, don't acknowledge things that are uncomfortable, and it's so bad, it's so unhealthy. So we all gotta go to therapy now to be real, and then go back into society and put the mask back on. I mean, again, that's always been the case, but I don't know. I think it's way worse now. Especially, to me, it's you know, I'm getting in the middle age, and it's like, I bring up all the time, I think about all the time, is like, is it just new times? Of course it's new times, but the distinction for me is like Doug Stanhope said, it's like, and Carlin and Stanhope, you know, ranted about this in the early, the real late 90s, and Stanhope, I guess it was early 2000s, but about like how we're gonna be, you know, Carlin talked about the pussification, and Stanhope said, you know, like, basically my generation, but it's even worse, the next generation is the first generation that we're not going to be complaining about how crazy the kids are, you know? It's like, it's crazy, but it's not, like, they're not doing it, like, testing limits, you know? It's crazy, but in their own minds. In our own minds, we're all like, yeah, so that's where I make the distinction. It's not just old man, this ain't music talk. I would argue it's a general change. It's it's a shift in humanity. Like the things are getting weird, you know. And the youth is not wanting to be independent and stick out. That's, I don't know, that seems very fucking scary to me. That sounds like George Orwell. Is it Orwell? George Orwell? It's like, yeah, it's like Brave New World shit. I don't like it. I think it's only gonna get worse, and I think that the more we talk about things, the less crazy we'll feel, and the less gaslit by this sick society we'll feel. Even if it's through a freaking stupid YouTube video, I think it's saved my life listening to certain people talk about things. I'm like, oh shit, narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, BPD, you know, gender wars, all these things that I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, and I'm feeling like I'm the crazy one. Like, society made a huge change. It's like, oh shit. Like, but then, you know, other YouTubers talk about it. To me, that's absolutely imperative, to just keep our like sanity as guys, and you know, that just, I think there's a pendulum swinging though. So anyway, this is about narcissism, and I shouldn't say, I don't want to like soapbox, but I'll just say that don't let it, this is, yeah, I'll fucking soapbox, and this is a projection in part, but don't let anyone try to conflate masculinity, competence with being a narcissist. That's like a new framing of the toxic masculinity. It's going to keep happening, where there's like new ways of like keeping strong men down. But anyway, that's been something I've been struggling with. So yeah, masculinity is the answer right now. I'm dying on this fucking hill. Competency, strength, courage. It makes society better. It always will. Men with boundaries is what creates abundance in society, and sanity and structure and prosperity and protecting the vulnerable. So again, yeah. Do what you think is right, and don't let society gaslight you. It's never been harder to traverse this fucking world. So stay strong, guys. Hang in there. Things are getting better. Love you all. Bye-bye.